villains and innocent bystanders, welcome to another episode of an Angel and Unicorn comic book reviews. I'm Alan the Unicorn, and with me today is just James. And as always, our beautiful, lovely Jenny will be viewing our horrible show as we go along and make horrible comments about horrible books. Or good books. I don't know. Depends on what we read today, this week. So we will be spoiling the books of the week. If you haven't read your books, you may want to pause, take a little bit of a time, come back in a little bit, and watch the show after. Otherwise, we will spoil the crap out of it for you. Proudly and gladly do that for you. And if you can, like, share, and subscribe, because we would love to have more people. Always a great conversation is always our goal. And
if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, what's wrong with you?
Exactly.
We're delightful.
Yeah.
Just ask us. And we're humble, too.
Very humble. Very humble.
Very.
It's an extremely humble show. That's our basis. I think we should have cards that say, "Welcome to an Angel Unicorn Humble Show." Maybe that should be our new tagline.
Thank you for viewing our humble show.
Humble show. So, until then, let's go ahead and get to the comic books of the week before we melt to death, because it's like 8,000 degrees in my house, and these hot-ass lights are not helping us at all. So, you want to go first?
I think I went first last time. I can, though.
No, I'll gladly destroy a book. I know exactly which book I want to go for and destroy.
Get on it.
I'm going to. We're going to do Die number 6. It is an Image book. It is by Kieran Gillen and Stephanie Hans is the art. So this book has been around. This is number 6, and this is it's kids that were playing D&D. They got sucked into the D&D world. They came back several years later. After that, they got sucked back in because one of them got left behind, and come to find out he didn't die like they thought. And so he ended up being tricking them to coming back in. So now they're kind of fighting this battle to try to get back to their real life, because they've actually had, some of them have kids, some of them have other stuff. So, they're all trying to get back to the regular world. Did you read this?
No.
I don't know how to, describe this book, because the premise is about the only thing that I can describe. As of what happens, I have no earthly clue. So, Kieran Gillen has a way of writing that you just feel like you have missed half the book. Oh. And here comes Thunder. He's come to enjoy the show with you all. So, I don't understand how to read his stuff, because I always feel like I'm missing something. He's a pain in the neck. But in this book, I guess, or in this particular issue, there's several of them that have captured the person that they're fighting, and they have to get some kind of fair gold trade, and then he is trying to, in order to get the fair gold trade, to escape the city, they have to have so much, and they can't manage to get that much. So in order to do that, they have to, one of them, the kind of like the technomancer, has to get rid of her animal. She has a little dog, and she has a mechanical arm, and so they're trying to figure out if they can get rid of the dog, then they can possibly make enough gold to get out of this world.
And your little dog, too.
And your little dog, Muffy. So she goes, and she's like, well, I think I have a different way. So she kind of goes to this place.
How much gold could we get for you, Thunder?
Oh, God, probably not anything. Not anything where you escape. And he just leaves fur behind. I just love it. It's awesome. So she goes to these people that are, I guess, like her techno gods. Again, I don't know. All this is assumption, because I'm not for sure how. Reading the book, it's so hard to understand, and so they basically give her a. You can either keep your arm or you can keep the dog, and they flip a coin, and she ends up losing her dog, and so they have enough gold, and so they escape, and then there's a dragon, and then they're on the dragon, and they come back, and one of the characters, like the main main character that they kind of like are as a leader. She has a daughter in this world, so now she comes and the lady goes, "Hello, mother," and that's the end of the book. I really wanted this thing to be good because I wanted the premise to be good because the premise is really exciting, but it's not that good. Like, it's so hard to follow. Sometimes the art's really beautiful as a standalone. Like, if it was an art like that was on the wall, it would be beautiful and astounding and gorgeous. But as a comic book, it doesn't work well because sometimes I can't tell who's who. The lighting's really weird. I'm not for sure what things are. It's a very confusing book, and I wanted it to be better, and I don't know what's up with Kieran Gillen. I don't know how he continues to do books, and like people have not, hey, you need to like actually explain some of this, because it's not, I'm sorry, it's just not good, and I hate that because, like I said, like the premise and the theory of all this is really, I really wanted to get into the characters. I think they're kind of interesting because they're a little bit different. They're D&D characters, but they're like a little bit different. Like the one girl has the ability to like speak truth, and it like makes people do things, and the other one she's a god binder, and so she has all these different gods that she's got on her. She's kind of kidnapped and using their powers, and then there's the priest that uses like sorrow and depression and all that stuff, and he takes it away, and he actually uses it as like his kind of like energy. I don't know. It seems like a really cool premise. I just can't get aboard. Wah wah wah. So 2 out of 5 unicorn horns, only because the art's pretty good and the story premise is actually really interesting, but the story in itself is not very good, and I don't know how much longer I can keep up reading it because I just don't understand what's going on. So I'm curious to see what other people are saying about this because I don't know. I haven't read any reviews about people. So.
Well, I read 2. I actually read 3 number 1s this week.
Look at you.
Would you like the one that has a similar that I feel similarly about to how you feel about Die, or
go for it? Let's do that one.
Okay, and then we'll finish strong.
Okay. Fingers crossed.
Give me a minute. Here it is. So this one that I'm going to be reviewing is called Coffin Bound. It's from Image Comics. It's by Brad Simpson, Aditya Bidikar, and also Dan Waters, Danny. Writer's Dan Waters, artist is Danny, Brad Simpson's colorist, letterers Aditya Bidikar. So, I have no idea what's going on in this book. So I'll just describe it. It starts with a shack out in the middle of nowhere with like mannequins all around it, wrapped up in barbed wire, and a girl wakes up and she's talking to a figure that's a
It looks like a figure made up of like a bird cage and like it looks like
there's a bird cage with a bird skeleton in it.
Yeah, and then it has like
and
a
then
jacket.
It's got
on
like
it.
a jacket and a torso and arms, and then the legs are wood.
Looks like it's the table legs or something.
And the skeleton is talking to her.
It doesn't get any better from there.
He tells her he's a vulture, which she didn't pick up on. She's like, well, that's a portent of death. And so he says, there's somebody coming for you, but before they come for you, some other people are coming for you, and they're armed, and you should probably take care of them. So these three guys come up to her house, and they call her name, and they're like, we got presents for you, and then they shoot up the place. And she finds a gun, and I don't know if she shoots this guy and says the word bang as she shoots him, or if somebody else shoots him. Normally, if you point a gun and then somebody else gets shot, you assume they shot them, but then later she goes to shoot the gun and the gun falls apart. So yeah, I don't know if it ever shot or if he was hit by friendly fire, but and then she hits the last remaining bad guy with a brick, and the bad guy's like, we're just the warm-up act, there's an earth eater after you, and then they go into the mythos of what an earth eater is, and it's they eat earth and then listen to the earth, and they have powers over earth. And she's like, they said, well, if one of these is after you, your death is inevitable. And she's like, well, then I'm just going to leave my life behind. And she burns the whole place to the ground, and they drive off. And then she calls a friend who's got like germophobia or something. He's freaked out by surfaces and flesh and things, and so they drive along, and then it flashes to a strip club, and this patron comes to the strip club, and one of the girls calls him up, and she starts doing a dance for him, and like somebody's in the back narrating this, and she strips down, and then she takes a knife and she cuts her flesh open and rips all her skin off.
That's some serious stripping. She takes her job seriously.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then the guy's like, oh God. And so then she walks by him with all her skin off and walks up to the manager's office and starts bandaging herself up, and the guy's talking about that it's a small price to pay for, you've got baby smooth skin for life. You just have to tear your skin off now and again, and be sure to wrap everything so you don't scar. And he seems super weird on top of the skin thing, and then he summons his guys, and he throws to summon his people, he has all these statue busts in his office, and so he throws one of the statues through the window to get a hold of, to tell his guys downstairs that he needs something. But when the statue hits the ground, this green stuff comes out of it. They drew enough panel, it should be significant.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is ever said of the green stuff in the thing again, and so he seems to know the protagonist, and he's like, she's got an Earth Eater after her. We have to go save her because she's my favorite. And she's stopped beside the road, and the dead vulture cage person finds a costume of hers, and she said, yeah, I put the costume on when I'm killing people. And he said, well, you killed people this morning, you didn't put the costume on. She's like, I was a little busy. And so then they drive off, and the Earth Eater finds her camp that she burnt to the ground, and then the strip club guy meets him, and he's like, "You won't find her, and she's my favorite. You can't kill her." And the Earth Eater says, "You're the one who contracted me to kill her." And he said, "Well, she's my muse, and a dead muse is better than a living muse." And so the Earth Eater's like, "Well, this is unacceptable," and he causes an earthquake, and the strip club owner gets eaten up by the earth, and then the protagonist drives to a little desert town in the middle of nowhere, and there's a Native American that looks like they're blind, that's an oracle, and they said the next person before she pulls up, he says the next person that pulls up is going to be the person who kills me. And then she pulls up, and he says, "Oh, it's you," and they kiss, and that's the end of the book. And I'm so confused. If you're not confused, let me know if that made sense to you.
Tell me where. I kind of shut down after your like stripper store skinned up. I'm like, I'm over this now. I'm like, I don't even know what's going on.
Yeah. What the actual? The art was.
Art actually
was
decent.
Okay. I mean, it was very.
It kind of
new agey. It was
like a Frank Quigley.
Yeah, well, not as good as that, but it yeah, I feel like I needed another book
to explain that book.
To explain it.
That's how. Yeah.
Oh, this was the second series.
Yeah.
There was Tombstone Bound. Did you not read that? Oh, we thought everybody.
Well, that's kind of like Weatherman. When I started reading Weatherman, I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. And you're like, oh, this is the second volume. I'm like, that makes more sense. Like, there should be a first volume to explain this. And I'm like, got it. Like, there was. These ones, there's not. Like, I don't understand. Like, how you have to set up a world. We don't know what's in your head. Like, it's just.
And we've reviewed other books where they have, for book one, they a brand new world and strange. Weird things.
One of our favorites, Outer Darkness.
Outer Darkness. Sonata.
They give you enough.
Sonata. I love Sonata.
Enough. Yeah.
And it is a completely foreign world, but they give you enough, and they don't assume that you know the rest, or they let you know that you're not supposed to know this yet.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm gonna keep on the hate train. And we're going to do, it is Darkstorm Comics, the Addams Family. Addams as in, like, what you're made of. ATOMS, not Addams as in, like, the monster family. This is the Addams Family. Dun, dun. Yeah, not that family. This one's different. Addams as in, like, what you're made out of. It's written by Kevin Gervaux and art by Javier... Giacomo. So this one it's like a comedic book. It's not made to be serious, but I think they kind of went a little too far with the comedic effects. So I'm hoping that this particular person is African American. If not, he threw in every African American horrible stereotype you could ever think of. Like, I mean, and they literally call her the nagging wife, and she's like, I'll slap the black off you. Like, the whole book, she says that, like, multiple times, and that's kind of her shtick, and she actually slaps people until they're, like, white in the face. The husband's, like, he just doesn't care. He's kind of like this, like, self-centered person. The sister is, like, this, like a trashy girl, like with the cut off t-shirts and the little short skirts, and she's got the long hair, and the son is the one that's supposed to be the smart one, or the one that's supposed to be intelligent. But they got powers they went into an atomic testing site by accident, and they got powers, and they had to fight this one character who makes a giant robot. And the way that they fight the character, or the way that the son gets the other family to fight the characters, is because he's getting ready to threaten the barbecue place. And it's like, what? And so the dad's like, oh no, they ain't gonna get all the ribs from the and like, it turns into this horrible, horrible stereotype. I mean, like, it's atrocious. I just kept reading, I'm like, I can't believe this book exists in 2019 at all. Like, I don't even care if you are. Like, even if this is like African American writer writing this, it is horrible. Like, it is not funny. It's not like, it is horrible, stereotypical stuff. And it's really sad that this thing still exists. So they go and they fight this robot to stop him from breaking up the rib place. And then the dad's guy talking about how they better not destroy my like whatever barbecue sauce he likes, and it's like this big long like jalapeno mango barbecue sauce, and he's like, they better not do that. And then the wife is like, he better not break my shoes if he hurts my shoes. And then all of a sudden he hurts her shoes, and so she goes crazy, and I'm gonna slap the black off you. And it was atrocious. Like, after I got done, I don't even know what to do with it. Like, I mean, what do you do with that? Like,
you face all four cardinal directions, and in turn,
yeah,
you're a human and I'm a human, and I'm sorry.
It is. It's really sad. I've read, I mean, like, as a gay man, I've read gay comic book superheroes, and they have some stereotypical stuff in them, but like, they still write them as people. These, like, weren't even wrote as people. Like, it was just wrote as this giant African American, stereotype, and not even a good stereotype. It was like horrible stereotype, and I was so sad. I give this one 0 out of 5 unicorn horns. Yeah, please stop putting this stuff in the world. This is not good stuff to put in the world, like, ever. Like, there's no. And I hope people are not reading this. Like, I hope people are not supporting this.
I don't want to live on this planet
No,
anymore.
I don't. I'm so sad. Like, it makes me so sad. Like, like I said, I've read some they had some recently for Pride. They came out with there's a book called The Pride, and it's about like a cast of a different sexuality character superheroes, and like, they all kind of have their own story, but they have like there's like the typical muscle boy, and there's the typical like the bear is actually a bear, and it's just like, it's stereotypical stuff, but they have like really good poignant stuff that's really well written and actually handled decently, in my opinion. This was just not. I am assuming they were trying to be funny, and I just didn't find it funny. It wasn't even like, I don't know. This is bad. This is real bad.
So a little bit, and it's funny, but you feel bad about it being funny. And then you can push it far that it's not funny anymore. And then you can push it a little further, and then it's funny again. And then you push it a little further, and then you get this.
Yeah, like, I feel like maybe like if it was like a sketch comedy, like, I think it would have been. Maybe it could have worked then, but like, it's just not funny in book form, and I don't understand. Like, the dialogue was horrible, and it's just makes me sad inside. All right.
Okay.
Hopefully you can redeem us.
So my next book is Berserker Unbound by Dark Horse. It's written by Jeff Lemire and art by Mike Deodato.
Which is very much Mike Deodato work.
Also, Frank Martin and Steve Wands are the colorer and the letterer. And then there's also a Mike Mignola variant cover. I like this book. It's the main character looks like he just escaped from a Molly Hatchet album. I mean, come on. He's and
The
he
quintessential barbarian.
Yep. And he talks about, all he does is fight, and his the woman he loves, the strongest woman I ever crossed swords with, and and he's looking for someone to fight, and then he smells smoke, and he comes back to his home and finds his wife and child murdered in the home village, on fire, and so just about then he gets attacked by a large horde of people. Bad move on their part. Yeah, it does not.
Lots of head severing.
It does not end well for them.
No.
He's pissed, and he doesn't care if he lives or dies, and yeah. So one of the guys actually gets a shot in, and cuts him, and that just makes him even angrier. So then there's a mystical somebody,
Quasi other being.
yeah, shows up and says the mist will live, the mist is truth. As mystical people do. So he runs off, and
because there's another wave coming, like after him.
And he's cursing. He's like, I'm a big manly tough guy, and I'm running away like a coward. All I am is a coward, and so he runs into this cave, and there's these magical symbols, and the symbols start crackling, and he kind of falls through a hole in the world, and he goes to leave the cave, and more magic happens, and he comes out in the woods, and he realizes so it's different from where he went in. He passes out, and a elderly gentleman in a leather jacket and modern clothes is poking him with a stick to see if he's okay. And this guy's mostly worried that the hero's gonna steal his stuff.
He ain't gonna take my stuff. But he uses a different word.
Yeah. And so I don't know if the Berserker can understand English. He doesn't talk to him, so I don't know if he understands English or not. But so the gentleman runs off to get help, and
because he sees the guy has the wound on his side.
He's gonna help him, and excuse me.
He walks through the forest, and when he walks, the forest breaks,
And then you see a modern city.
like a city skyline. So he's in the modern times.
Yes. So I enjoyed this book. It was excuse me. It was simple. It was good art. Introduced you to the world, to the characters. Just a fun sword and sorcery romp.
I read this one, and I would have liked there to have been more. I wanted more continuation. Like, I think it would have been better if they would have cut some of the fighting out, because I feel like there was like pages upon pages of him like cutting heads off, and if they could have cut like 1 or 2 pages of that and maybe gave me more story of him being in the modern world and then realizing he's in the modern world, because it was very much like he fights, is in the cave for like most of the book, and then at the very end it's like the last 2 pages he's in the modern world, and it's like,
I mean, if I was watching a TV show of this, I would fully expect the cutscene for the before the scenes for next week to be the modern world.
Yeah.
That doesn't bother me. I know we're going to get lots of that. Like I said, if he doesn't speak English, then it's...
I just feel like the setup
It's
was
more-
not... The beginning of the setup was like, it just... Either they could have done the setup more and gave it a little bit more of a feeling towards that, but I felt like there was a lot of stuff in between that they didn't need. Like, there was a lot of repeat stuff that they can't, like I said, like, I mean, like, there was like 3 pages of severed heads after a while, or him fighting, and it's like, this could have been used, I think, to be either...
Your wife and kid get murdered. Get over it.
Exactly! Like,
Oh,
see,
no.
Jake doesn't like it either. Look,
Oh,
she's agreeing
man.
with me.
No. I think she attacked you. She's like...
Shut it, Ellen! So, I don't know, I just wanted more. I wanted more, but I wasn't upset about it. I think they could have maybe edited it and done different. Placed it a little bit differently, or paced it a little bit differently. But overall, I think it was still, like, I was in the middle of the books for me, 3 out of 5 unicorn horns. I'm not for sure if I'm going to pick it up, because it does seem kind
I'll
of...
definitely pick up the next one. So
I don't
I'd
think
give
I
it a
will.
4.
We'll see. I don't know.
I enjoyed
I'm kind
it.
of up in the air.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I could see that, but you love that sword and sorcery stuff, so I'm glad. Or Sea of Stars or Section 0.
Sea of Stars.
You know what? I'm not gonna do either one of those. We're gonna do Space Bandits. How about
Okay.
that? So I actually enjoyed this book. So we reviewed it for when the number 1 came out. 2 ladies, different types, 2 different worlds, or 2 different places in life, and they kind of both end up at the same prison. So this is where it picks up after they kind of, at the very end of the last book, they kind of met, and so this is kind of where they are formulating a plan to escape the prison. So there's a huge fight. Like, if you fight in this tournament and you win out of all these people, then you get freedom. And so that's the green-haired girls. That's her mode. She's like, I'm gonna get out of here by fighting my way out. And the other girl with the mohawk hair and the lizard is like, that's not gonna work. Don't you see these people that you're fighting against? Like, there's all these, like, there's a lot of, like, you're not gonna get through this. And she's like, yeah, I can. So she lets her figure it out, and she's like, okay, go for it. And so she fights her first round, and she fights this, like, weird being that's all these, like, different parts of technology. Like, it looks like it's like a solar panel and, like, little boxing gloves and, like, a little microchips, and it's just like floating debris. It almost looks like. So she fights this floating debris, and she can't stop it, and it beats her up. And so she's already out. So finally she's like, fine, what's your plan? And so she explains her plan, and while she's explaining her plan, they come and take her, the Mohawk girls. They take her lizard, who she's psychically bonded with. They take her lizard. So she gives them up, and then she tells the plan to the other girl that there's these other guys that are getting ready to do a prison break, and she's like, they're planning on being in these bathroom stalls at this particular time, and when this time happens, there's going to be a blackout. Somebody's going to teleport them out. She's like, so my plan is to beat them up and take their place. So she goes and she uses the girl as muscle, and so she beats up the guys that are supposed to be teleporting out. So the girl beats her up, and then the girl with the mohawk, or the green-haired girl, beats him up. The girl with the mohawk calls in the guard. She's like, hey, guard, there's somebody fighting in here. So the guard comes in, and so the green-haired girl has to beat him up. And she's like, why'd you do that? And she's like, well, we're getting ready to fight a bunch of people up on this spaceship, though I don't know what we're getting into, so I thought you might need a gun. So she's still not like, she's like, I'm gonna let you do it work. And so they're like, okay, fine. So the blackout happens. They get teleported to this other ship. The green-haired girl goes through and just, like, annihilates the whole. She's like blowing people's heads off and fighting them. And then they are on this ship. So then they get their plan. What's their next plan? So the next plan is, like, they want to get even with all of the gang from the Mohawk girls gang, and they want to get even with the guy that betrayed the green-haired girl, and they have to get her lizard back. So, the first thing they're going to do is go and get this one guy. So they go and go to this planet, and he's supposed to be like the #1 shot. He's really good at he's a big killer, and so they basically just annihilate him from afar, and then they move on. So they sniper him and just blow him away, and they're like, okay, next one, and yeah, so they're off to destroy all their friends that they betrayed them. Yeah, I really like this. It was a lot of fun. It's not a complicated premise. Like, it's just kind of a revenge story. I like the characters. The art's really neat. It's kind of some funny dialogue, and it's really cute stuff. Or it's like, why did you call the guard in? And she's like, I thought you needed a gun. She's like, ugh. So, and then like she's like, why am I have to be the muscle? And so it was really great interaction. I really liked the sheer expanse of the world is really neat. They have a lot of like these like big giant. They're stuck on a crustacean, like a big giant space crustacean. So, that showing that world is really neat. So I really enjoyed this one. I say probably 4 out of 5 unicorn horns. I'm looking forward to the next book and seeing what they're gonna do. I like to follow them as they go destroy their enemies, former friends. So.
All right. For my last book, I've got the Island of Dr. Moreau. IDW did this adaptation of it. It's by Ted Adams and Gabriel Rodriguez. Gabriel also did the art. Colors by Nelson Danielle with a
Umlaut.
Accent. Lettering by Robbie Robbins, and Scott Dunbar is the editor. I don't think I've read the book, The Island of Dr. Moreau, or if I have, it's so long ago I've forgotten it, so I might as well not have. I've read that the main character in this book is a new character that they've added. So it's a red-haired girl. She's in a life raft. It's 1896. She survived a shipwreck. 2 of the other people in the life raft with her were fighting and fell overboard, and you assume at some point that this is going to become important. She washes up on shore and is met by a elderly, not elderly, but an older English gentleman, the stereotypical great white hunter. He welcomes her, says, you're our guest, and you're welcome here, but we didn't invite you, so please do as we say, and don't do anything we don't give you permission to do.
Don't go into the West Wing.
Yeah. She keeps hearing animal noises, and and asks about that, and that's one of the things you don't ask about. And so the guy's kind of giving her a little bit of his backstory. Well, she immediately
goes where she's
not supposed to, and finds some kind of large predatory cat in a cage, and then Dr. Moreau catches her, and he's kind of dismissive toward her. He says, I don't know how soon there'll be a ship by here that we can get you off this island. They take her to her room. They say, for your own safety, we're going to lock you in your room. She recalls some stories about Dr. Moreau and some awful medical experiments he did back in England. that he was kind of drummed out of the medical society for unethical behavior. So a caretaker brings her some lunch in. She's like, I noticed he had kind of animal-like hands, and he didn't. He hates wearing his gloves, and he shouldn't have done that. And you weren't supposed to see that. So he tells her not to run off alone. So of course she runs off alone, and comes upon a beast, half man, half beast creature, drinking from a stream. She finds some of his the remnants of his latest hunt and dinner. She finds more creatures. When she's running after the creatures, there's a building with all kinds of signs, do not enter. So of course she enters and finds Dr. Moreau and the English gentleman operating on a man beast, and she freaks out and runs off and runs into more man beasts, and one of them meets her and takes him with her to a meeting of the man beasts where they're going over the rules of how they're supposed to act, and the rules are, all the animalistic behaviors they're not supposed to partake in anymore, since they're not animals anymore. And then at the very end, Dr. Moreau comes for her and tells them to bring her to him. So,
Dun, 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 dun.
yeah. The art was gorgeous. I'm pretty. Well, I haven't read the book. I'm familiar with it. It seems to follow what I know of the island of Dr. Moreau pretty well. They've added a few little things, but pretty good. I'd give it a 3 unicorn horns. It was fun. I'll keep reading it.
Awesome. Did you get to read anything else?
I read the Future Foundation.
What'd you think?
Number 1. It wasn't bad. It's they're looking for a prisoner, so they get one of the people. I don't know if there was what I was supposed to have read before this. If the current FF book talks about this at all, or the old. Because I remember the Future Foundation way back 10 years ago, when Dragon Man and Valerie and the Okomi. Now, I remember when they first all got together, but I haven't read anything of them since.
So the Mike Allred run of FF, when Ant-Man, She-Hulk, who was the girl, the pop star?
Thing that wore the thing.
And I think Human Torch was on there, wasn't he?
No.
Who was the other one? Who was the fourth one? Anyways, that team really was kind of the establishing of all these characters. And so they kind of went from that to this, and they went off in space, and now they're back, and so now they're kind of doing the thing in space, and so that's kind of where it's at. If you didn't read anything, I feel like if you didn't read anything, you could kind of jump in on this.
I haven't read anything in a while, and I did jump in on it, and I wasn't awfully lost. I was like, there's probably a few things.
Just I think establishing the characters a lot more would be but but it was okay. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't the greatest. The art, I'm torn about the art. Like, it's kind of almost.
There was times that the art was really good, and then there was times the art was kind of sloppy.
Yeah, it's almost like it's like too cartoony. Like they take it a little bit too far to where it almost goes into like a caricature realm. Like the heads maybe look a little bit too big, or I'm not for sure where. I can't put my finger on what exactly it is, but it's like either
There's a few times it kind of looked like it had an Art Adams influence with lots of the cross hatching and stuff, and then other times it didn't look anything like that.
No, it looked like everybody looked kind of bulbous and weird, especially what's the gravity guy?
Alec.
Yes, Alex Powers. Like he has these like ginormous pecs, and he's supposed to be like a teenager, and it just it's like obscene pecs. Like they're like that. I was like,
Rob Liefeld pecs.
Yeah, it almost was. Like here, like it just looks like it looks like obscene pecs. It's just like
Terry Crews would love to have those pecs.
Yeah. Maybe it is Terry Crews, and we just don't know it. Because he like on the cover, like he looks like a regular like teenager. Like he's fit, but he's not like I was like, okay. So stuff like that made it look a little bit more of a caricature than it did art or like the character. So that threw me off. But it was an okay book. I'm curious to see where they're going to go with it. I don't know if it's going to have staying power or not, but I definitely was interested. So I gave it a 3 out of 5 unicorn horns. Anything else?
I picked up the. I was going to read, and I just ran out of time. The Dark Age. There was a. It's by Red 5 Comics. It's they had last Free Comic Book Day. They had a preview, and it is a world where all metal turned to dust.
Ooh.
And society fell with it, and the only thing that's left is wood and plastic and it's hot and concrete and stuff, and where they're going from there. So they've kind of gone to medieval weapons that you could do with wood, like they have a club with sharp rocks in it, and like for shields they use like fencing.
Yeah.
Where the boards are held together. That's they cut around a thing of fence,
like a pallet.
Yeah.
I don't know. That'd be kind of neat. That's smart.
And
lay down. I can't sit down.
So, I want to read that. It looks pretty good. I just ran out of time.
Yeah, there's a couple things that I had a big stack over there that I didn't get to read, but I got through as much as I could. I got through Ignited. It was it's kind of a different book. It's a newer company, but it's number 3. It's starting to kind of take cohesion. This is a little bit more like they go into like how everybody kind of got their powers, what their powers are, and kind of introductions, and kind of starting to lay the groundwork of what's going to happen. I'm still on the fence. Like I don't know if I like it or not. Like I'd give it a 3 out of 5 unicorn horns, but it's very unstable 3. Like it's just like it could be 2.5, it could be 3.5. Like some of it is just kind of like I don't know. I'm like I'm still waiting to see. It's still this book that I'm waiting to see what it's gonna do. So it is what it is. Griffin, Galaxy's Most Wanted. Apparently I missed a bunch of these because I thought I was doing really good about keeping an eye out for it because I read number 2. Yeah, I read number 2, and I think I reviewed number 2, and I really, really liked it. Well, this is number 6, so I've missed a couple. But I jumped right back in, and I'm like, I really want to go back and catch them all because it's really funny. It's really good. It's kind of like this anti-hero, like, comedy vibe. And, it's just a really cute book. It's interesting characters. I really want to go back and reread these, or read these and catch up on this. And so I really like it. It's 4 out of 5 unicorn horns. It's a fun little book to read. Grim Fairy Tales, number 30. There's continuing they kind of set a premise where, what is her name? The one that's in charge of the Matrix.
Seela's daughter.
Seela's daughter, yeah. What is her name?
I forget.
Anyways, she's kind of like the one that's over the library, or one that's kind of over the Nexus. And she's in Oz right now, and so they kind of set up a premise for her. She's looking for all these pieces of armor. She's already got the sword. She just got the shield. There's a breastplate and a helmet. So now she's got to she kind of sits in, finds this one character that's kind of
Spirit magic helmet.
yeah. It does. It feels. It's very magical trope. It's very much yes, but again, say it 1,000 times. I'm gonna keep saying it until they stop doing it. Zenoscope, good characters, good books, good art, just is. There's no like, they're not trying to be more than what they are. They're not trying to like put out crap, or maybe they are. It just doesn't seem that way. But like, I really enjoyed it. It's just a good fun book. It's a fun adventure. I like the characters. The premises is fun. It just is what it is. I mean, I definitely think there's parts in it where it's very much cheesecakey, but it is what it is. No One Left to Fight by Dark Horse. That was kind of interesting. They kind of they continue on. They were fighting in the backyard earlier. The two main characters, and they're kind of rivals since they were young. So they go back and they take a trip back to this the school where they came from. And they're kind of setting up more and more of the premise. It introduces a couple more characters. There's a girl that's in love with one of the main characters, and it's kind of an unrequited love. He doesn't really like her, but she's like keeps trying to seduce him because she thinks that they would be great together. And so he keeps having these weird like moments of blacking out and kind of has these like daydreams and stuff. So I'm curious to see where they're going to go with it. The art's really neat. The colors are really, really bright and powerful. It's just a interesting like action-y comic. So I really enjoyed it. So 4 out of 5 unicorn horns to that. Fallen World by Valiant. They're just continuing on the Allfather from that made it Japan. Quit. He's gonna keep it up here again. He's not the brightest. Oh God, he's such an idiot kid. See, look. Goliath is over here off camera, sitting here, being a good boy, and Thunder is a horrible child. He's the worst child ever. Bad cat. So anyways, so they, where was I at now? I've lost it. So the Japan, the Allfather's there, and he's kind of he's trying to take over all the lands that have crashed to Earth. And so he's kind of come back, and so everybody's rallying together to fight him. So it's an interesting kind of book. Section 0. This one kind of reversed in time, so they went back. Did you get to read this? You haven't read this? So they kind of went back in time before they were so they had the one time, they came forward into the modern times. Now they've reversed back again, back to the kind of catching us up to what happened. So there's another cast of characters, and one of them dies. One of them, they kind of introduce this one character that I actually really want to know about, but they didn't. The thing that irritated me about this book is they finally set up a really cool fight scene, and then they flash forward to the villain popped up. They flash forward to like the guy's dead, everybody's beat up, the villain's defeated. And I was like, no! The one time you could have given me some action, I was ready for it. Like there's this Asian girl, and she inherits her grandfather's 6 demon magic bag, and I'm like, I'm in. You had me at demon bag, 6 demons. I'm down. Let me see what happens. I have no idea how her powers work. I have no idea what she does. Nothing. They just flash forward and
it's
they're like,
a big old tease.
Yeah, it is. And then they're like, oh, thank God we had so and so's 6 demon bag. If it wasn't for that, we would have died. And I'm like, but I wanted to see that. Why? So,
do you think they did it on purpose to mess with you?
I think they specifically did it to mess with me in particular.
Well, it's kind of. The original book was in the image trope, but I don't know. Are they poking fun at themselves?
I don't know what they're doing. I think they're trying to
the old image books, any excuse for a fight.
I know. Yeah, but in this one they're not. Like they're not. They set up a fight and then they don't do anything.
But that may be on purpose, just to. Oh, we got you.
I don't know, but it's really irritating. Like, it really makes me mad. And it really makes me mad that they had some really cool characters that I would have liked to have known about. Like, these ones that are in the current time, they're okay, and I'm kind of like, meh, the girl with the hand, the gauntlet thing, and the cowboy boots, meh. This other person, like, there was a guy that he had the green costume, and he had old, gangsta fedora, and, like, I wanted to know about him, and nothing. And I wanted to know about the 6 demon bag. So excited. Nothing. Have no idea. Really irritating. But it's still like, I'm still going to read it because it is fun. It's a fun little romp. It's it's like, it's a team book. They have some twists and turns, and the art's fun, and I really like that book. So 5 out of 5 unicorn horns for me, because I like the adventure superhero kind of stuff. So just that one little problem that I wish they would have fixed. Oh well, can't win them all. Sea of Stars, I'm actually really liking this one. It's interesting. This one dealt a lot with the dad, like how he survived and how he's getting ready to try to go back and try to find his kid. And the last one kind of was like, they kind of showed more of the child and what happens with him. And so I'm curious to see where this book is going to go and what they're going to do with it. But I really like the art. I like the story. They kind of have a heartfeltness to it. I really like this one. So 4 out of 5 unicorn horns for that. Black Cat number 3. It's okay. 3 out of 5 unicorn horns. They were breaking in Doctor Strange stuff, and the mystic that she used to help break into Doctor Strange is Sanctum Sanctorum. I say it right?
Sanctum Sanctorum.
Yeah. So his house, got the jewel or got the headband that was supposed to like help him or gives him his powers. So he got that, turns on them, and so they're trying to like. The whole book, they think she's Silver Sable, like the ghost, and the other people, or this ghost dog is trying to help him out, and he's like, "You're Silver Sable, I know you," and she's like, "Yes, I'm Silver Sable." And she's like, "And this is my 6-pack," and she's talking to the other, and she's like, "You need to help us because we're the good guys," and so she keeps calling herself Silver Sable and stuff like that, and making Silver Sable references, and so it was really cute. But I mean, like honestly, I feel like this book came out and was supposed to be something really big, and it's just okay. Like, I wish they would have done something a little bit more, but it's still okay. I enjoyed... I'm not a huge fan of the art. The art can be really, like... It goes from being interesting in one panel to, like, really sketchy in another. It's like, some panels are really rushed, some panels are really neat. So I get really... I'm very conflicting about the art. But I'd say it's still middle of the road, the book. 3 out of 5 unicorn horns. My Little Pony Feats a Friendship. I did read it. I got excited. It was not as good as I wanted it to be. I don't like the My Little Pony friendship characters. They're all the different characters from the different lands. Like there's a griffin and a what's the seahorse one, and then there's like the yak from Yakistan, Yona, who's she cracks me up. But I like the show better, but the comic book's okay. It's just more of the same of the show. So if you like the show, you'll probably like the book. If you have young kids, it'll probably be really good. It's really just a fun, like, comedical, not really heavy read. So I just wasn't my thing. I like the My Little Ponies better. So 3 out of 5 unicorn horns. Hopefully you liked it better. And then that was it. Yeah. So there you go. That's a lot of stuff. I do have another show from last week. I recorded it this week because I read all my stuff. I was in New York, and unfortunately with my schedule in New York, trying to do all the things, because I did all the things, I did not get a chance to record a show. So I recorded it earlier, and I will post it with this show. So you'll have 2 shows this week if you would like, or you can have 2 shows that you would ignore. Either way. We hope you like, share, and subscribe, and ring the bell so that you can be notified of videos we post. I am also working on getting new mics and new equipment, but unfortunately my budget is very slim at the time, so that may be a little bit, so please bear with me for sound. So eventually at some point, hopefully I will have that, maybe in the next couple weeks. We shall see. Lots of things to work on. But until then, we hope you have a full pull list. Bye!